Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mat Chat. Today, my guest is Eric Guerrero, 2004 Olympian, three-time national champion, and current head coach of the Oklahoma Regional Training Center. Eric, welcome to the show. Thanks for having me in your house. How you been, man?
Great. Welcome.
Yeah, it's good to be here again. So, we've got some big things coming. I know we've talked about a couple things in the times we've spoken before, but I kind of wanted to maybe approach this a little differently, more, I guess maybe a little bit more personal. So, you know, my family background, Mirikitani, has a lot of meaning in our culture, and a lot of the folks I talk to don't have those kind of last names, but I've had a chance to meet your family. Kind of want to know the significance of your surname, what's your full name, and all that sort of thing.
Well, I guess we'd start with my full name. My full name is Eric Sebastian Guerrero. Guerrero. It's obviously of Hispanic origin.
Right.
To my understanding, you know, and we have some people in our family that do a good job of keeping up with our lineage and just where we came from and things of that nature. So, you know, my understanding is Guerrero, meaning G-U-E-R-R-A or G-U-E-R-R-E. You know, French, Spanish, Latin, Italian. It usually means war. You know,
okay.
War. A Guerrero is a warrior, meaning I know in Spain, you know, where, you know, most of that influence came from, you know, through Columbus and coming over into the Americas. Those kings, those queens, those Spanish Catholic kings and queens, they gave that name Guerrero to people who go out and fight.
Really?
Yeah, so Guerrero is a warrior, and then obviously derives from the
well, that's cool. You didn't get to pick that, but that's a nice thing to have.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, sure, yeah.
That's a lot better than wool baskets.
Yeah,
something like that.
And Sebastian is just a family name that goes back. My father was Sebastian. One of our children took on that middle name, and then his grandfather was Sebastian. I think it goes back about 6 or 7 generations that we can track.
Yeah, so it's important for you to keep passing that along.
Yeah, and then Eric just, I don't know, random.
I'll have to ask your dad the next time to see when I picked that. So,
yeah.
You know, obviously there's been some recent tragedies in Mexico. You know, obviously with your background, what do you and your family think about all that, and how have you guys reacted to that?
There has been. You know, the earthquake in Mexico City was terrible. Terrible. I know there's been a lot of coverage on it, and a lot of concern, you know, because I guess growing up in California, you understand the significance of an earthquake. You know, it's not just, you know, the people that were injured that day, or the people that could, you know, God forbid, die in those situations. There's truly an aftermath. You know, homes are ruined.
Damage.
You know,
businesses
are ruined. Meeting places, people.
Churches,
you know, and here, you know, your house burns down, you find people in another home, or a terrible situation, you relocate people when an entire city is impacted like that. You know, with the magnitude, you know, 8. What was it? I think an 8.4,
yeah.
Something like that. The magnitude of that earthquake, an earthquake of that magnitude, lives change significantly.
Yeah.
Significantly. So it's unfortunate. There was one in the mid 80s, I want to say, that did similar damage, and then I've lived through some back in California. You know, the Loma Prieta earthquake in '89.
Yeah.
Yeah, in '89, that was bad. That was bad. Lives are changed. So. Yeah, we keep up with it a little bit. Still got some family over there, so concern of ours, and do what you can from whether it be a time, talent, treasure type situation. You just do what you can.
Yeah. I think most people know your overall career, but for those that don't, multiple-time state champion, Fargo champion, 5-1-1-1 at nationals without a red shirt here, correct? Correct. And then U.S. Open champion, 2004 Olympian. One of the things that intrigues me is, you know, you use a phrase, a lot of us, you know, stolen it from guys like you about jumping levels. You know, not just straight line growth, and some people plateau out. So, for you, what was maybe one thing that you learned in high school, that maybe early on in high school, that helped you become a national champion at Fargo? What was something that you learned, you know, along that journey that helped you become successful in college? I mean, 5th as a freshman is obviously what a lot of us, that would be a career, but it obviously wasn't satisfying to you. So how'd you go from maybe 5th to 1st, and then how'd you make that jump from national champion to Olympian? Because those are a lot of steps that most of us get dropped off somewhere along the way.
I'd have to say that sometimes we're just lucky. You're lucky. And I look back on things, and I just feel really fortunate, really lucky to have had certain people in my life. I think from a formulative standpoint, I was lucky to have a good youth situation. I think my youth coaches, my dad, and my uncles, they helped me understand what hard work was, what hard work looked like. I had people paving the way, accomplishing things. Winning, it wasn't Fargo then, it was Junior Nationals.
Right, yeah.
It still is Junior Nationals, but
Yeah,
it wasn't in Fargo.
Yeah. I'm old enough, it was Northern
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. It was Iowa City and then
Central Missouri
Central
State.
Missouri for a while. My first year was in St. Paul, Minneapolis.
Mine was Northern Iowa in the Unidome.
There you go. So I mean, so it moved around, but I just think I was really lucky. Just had some really key people in my life that showed me what hard work was, showed me a very constructive way to look at things, whether that be learning how to take criticism, whether that be learning how to address your faults, learning how to rebound from setbacks. Those things are very critical, in overall development. And maybe it's not a talent thing. Maybe it's a coping thing. How do you cope with setbacks? How do you cope with success? How do you cope with the fact that you've done something and you want to do it again?
That's a skill.
That's a skill, correct.
And a lot of people aren't coached on that and don't know how to be coached on that or know how to coach that, and that prevents or allows people to succeed, I think.
It's interesting you say that. There's a lot of theories about this, and one of them is that, I'm going to use you for an example, that, say, Dave Mirikitani. There's Dave Mirikitani, the person, and then there's Dave Mirikitani, the athlete. And, one of the theories on coaching and developing an athlete is that Dave Mirikitani, the person, is always greater than Dave Mirikitani, the athlete. And what makes Dave Mirikitani the person, I keep saying your name because you're sitting here in front of me, is different than what makes Dave Mirikitani the athlete.
Yeah.
Your personal character skills,
right?
And this, where I got this, they're really careful to not say traits, because traits has a sense of like permanence.
Yeah.
Where skills can be developed. And they say your character skills, the athlete's character skills, are far more important than any one given talent they have. From the standpoint of, do they get up early? Are they on time? Is it important to them? What do they value? Do they value being on time? Do they value getting up early? Do they value hard work? Do they
respect authority?
Do they respect authority? Are they coachable? Coachable is actually one of the character skills they point out. But do you value being coachable? Do you value being a good teammate? And the character, the person, drives the athlete. If we have it to where the athlete tries to drive the person, ultimately somewhere the wheels come off the bus. And that's the theory in this particular book, and I believe it. I don't believe everything in the book, but that thesis, that very central thesis, I think is spot on in my experience in wrestling coaching. And I guess to answer your question, I was just lucky to have some people in my life that understood that. Maybe they didn't even know. Obviously, this book wasn't around then.
Yeah, but they could have known and just not written a book about it, right?
Correct, but they knew. They knew what was important, and I was lucky enough to just benefit from their good nature.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you have a relationship with my mom and dad, and my dad was a coach, my mom's an instructor, almost the assistant coach for a lot of years to my dad. Yeah. And I feel like that's how they treated those guys. Like, we're going to develop you and value you as a person first, because wrestling's finite,
right?
Especially junior college,
right?
And but if you use wrestling to become a better person, and then some of those skill sets, come over. Because it's interesting. Like in this job, being able to communicate is obviously good, important, right? But it has nothing to do with being a good wrestler. They're completely, as a wrestler. Yeah. Coachable is a form of communication, but it's different, so yeah.
I think communication skills are important. It's funny that you bring that up, and not to digress here, but you know, ultimately you're only as good as a coach as your athlete lets you be. If they're not communicating with you, if their communication skills are when they hit a bump in the road, they don't want to talk about it. When they hit a bump in the road, they want to avoid you. Maybe they're, you know, maybe they missed a morning practice, and rather than come to you and say, "Coach, I'm a knucklehead. I missed practice," or "Hey, you know, something. I messed up." You know, it's funny how many people will turn and just avoid. You know, the conflict.
Yeah, the confrontation.
So you're saying communication necessarily might not apply directly to wrestling, and I would challenge people to say,
no, it probably does when you bring
it, but it probably actually does.
Yeah,
it probably actually does.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So, you know, one of the things that I was thinking about, you were talking about this, was when you made those jumps and you talked about, you know, being fortunate to have those people around. Do you remember like an aha moment where maybe you learned a skill that literally opened up 9 other things for you? Like, you know, I remember for me when I wrestled, I had a good shot to this side, but if somebody, you know, led this leg, it was very difficult for me to score. And, you know, my dad worked with me and worked with me on finally getting a sweep single that I had some confidence in, and once I could do that, it obviously opened everything up. Was there something like that working either in high school, college, you know, post-college, the Olympic level, where you were able to, you know, because as good as you were in college, there's a bunch of guys like you that are trying to make the Olympic and national team, and then, you know, just doing that doesn't make you the best in the world, clearly, you know, to go. So was there something where somebody helped you maybe with something not that we wouldn't think is super significant, but literally made a big difference in your career?
Sure. I might end up leaving a lot of things out or a lot of people out, but just to...
Is there just maybe one?
Just to think about one. How about this? I'll give you one at each level. One at each level that I felt was really significant. And I think significance in an early part of my life was being told to be honest with myself. I'm going to give you that, and then I'll give you a technical thing. Be honest with yourself. No excuses. You know, John Wooden had this, you know, these sets of 3s. You know, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal.
Yeah.
Don't whine, don't complain, don't make excuses. Something I was told at a young age is something I tell my children. Don't whine, don't complain, don't make excuses. It's really simple. Just 3 things. Yeah. Don't whine, don't complain, don't make excuses. If you don't do those things, you end up in a better place in life. And that always stuck with me. So I was told that at a young age, and I don't know, my wife might have a different opinion, but I don't think I whine, complain, or make excuses, right?
Sure.
So I was just told that. From a technical standpoint, I think positioning was really important. I was taught to stay in good position, stay in my stance. I know that sounds very rudimentary and probably cliche, but man, just a lot of good wrestling comes back to staying in your stance. College, I think I got opened up to a lot more skill. I mean, learn from John Smith. I mean,
sure.
Who better to learn skill?
He's pretty good at
wrestling. He's pretty good skill. Who better to learn skill from, right?
Yeah.
You know, so from a skill standpoint, I mean, it was great. You know, actually, he was young enough where we could wrestle together and roll around. So I mean, it was,
that must have been fun.
That was great. Yeah, it's just you know, great. You know, and then from the other side, I think at that point, you know, I got a chance to be around Tommy Chesbro, and it's ironic because after this, I'm going to see Doug, his son, get inducted in the
Oklahoma Chapter
Hall of Fame this afternoon, and here I am talking about Tommy, and I miss Tommy dearly.
Yeah,
think about him a lot because he just had all these really great tidbits of advice, you know, and one of them, I've talked about this before, he would just always encourage me, kind of just do things the right way, do things the right way, you know, do things the right way. I think he could see that I was kind of searching for more, you know, and I'd ask a lot of questions, and it always circled back to, if you do, just do things the right way. You know, running more is better than running less. Wrestling more is better than wrestling less, right? Diet, you know, cutting weight or losing weight and doing it in a healthy manageable, way, disciplined way is better than crashing it off. Just do everything you can the right way, and if you just do that, you're gonna be happy with yourself. Because I would never kind of, like all wrestlers, you're kind of never really happy with your performance, and you're searching for more. And he always direct me back to that concept.
Yeah.
And that's wisdom.
No, it is.
That's wisdom.
It's a big picture.
I'm sitting here trying to do all these little things. He's saying just do things the right way. And I would say those things right there really helped, go from one level to the next. Just the very simple, basic things that people impart on me.
What was your mindset during those days? I guess, really, I think for most of us, a lot of us had some success in high school and wrestling in college, but I think very, very few of us had that Olympic journey. So your mindset for maybe, like your last year in college, defending, I'm sure there was pressure. And then, I remember that in high school, I can only imagine what it's like in college where everybody around the country, all the way through that Olympic process. And then, how do you think that mindset is different or similar to now?
Well, one, I'm not a competitor, from the standpoint of you step out on the mat. So life changes.
Right.
Life changes drastically. For the most part, working backwards, life's not about me getting my workouts in. Life's about family, kids, friendships, relationships, helping other people. And I know that, again, that sounds very, everybody's going to say that. All my life's about others. But really, I think at 40 years old, you realize, I just don't have time in the day to think about myself. Whereas in that time of your life, when you're pursuing something, it's a large part. Your nutrition, your workout. That's why dads get dad bodies like me. You just don't have time for it. So that part of your life, you're very dialed in on what you're doing.
To be selfish, frankly.
I wouldn't say selfish, because I don't think it's a selfish thing. I think it's just a focus thing. I'm not sure once you leave that, you can go back to being that focused again. On you as an individual.
Yeah.
You go on to being greatly focused on other things. Your focus turns to your children, your wife, whatever the case may be, whatever, business, coaching, whatever. So, I think, I think what a snapshot of that time period, is you do whatever you feel you got to do to give yourself an edge. For me, it was not drinking. Alcohol. Just like it was getting up early. I feel like I just got up early and got something done early in the morning, or run, just jump rope, anything before that first practice. It just kind of gives you this edge. Or maybe it's running late at night. I did that a lot. Or just a snapshot of that time period of how you stay dialed in is those things. I remember my senior year, my whole college was specifically senior year to first world team, no television.
Really?
No television.
Why? I understand the no alcohol. I understand the getting up early. Why was TV like sort of a deprivation? Like I'm putting in the time to struggle.
For me, it felt like self-deprivation. Yeah. Like I'm going to deny myself this.
Something I enjoyed. Some paying the price. Something
I enjoyed. A lot of good books to read. A lot of film to watch. Didn't have a TV. That greatly impacted people wanting to come over to your house. Yeah. Nobody wants to come over.
Maybe you don't watch TV because you didn't have one.
So I think financially I got broke down and purchased a TV, but just never got cable.
I see.
I don't think I purchased cable television until maybe the mid 2000s, like 5, 6, maybe even 7. We just didn't have it.
Yeah, but that makes sense. It's after the Olympics.
It was after the Olympics, and then you go, different lifestyle now.
Time to join the rest of society.
Time to join the rest of society for sure. Yeah.
Well, speaking of the Olympics, that 2004 team was, all the teams are unique in certain ways, right? But from, I think, a perspective from you is you, Jameel Kelly, Daniel Cormier, all Oklahoma State guys, and I got to give these two guys a shout out. ex-junior college guys, which is, you know, pretty unique. You know, Jameel Lassen,
Good
Daniel
point.
Colby.
Never thought about that.
I had the displeasure of coaching against both of them. So, but I don't know if there's, you know, I'm not super historical like that, but I don't know if there's ever been 3 collegiate teammates make a team before. If it is, it has to be super rare.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think, sort of, how did the stars sort of align? Because as great as Jameel was, you know, he didn't win junior colleges. You know, I think he had double and didn't win the Division Ones. Daniel didn't win the Division Ones, obviously with Kale there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how did that work? You guys got their mindsets right, and obviously your own. And you obviously weren't coaching them, but you guys are all, I'm sure, talking to each other,
Sure.
trying to build each other up. Sure. You know, what was it that John or the other folks that were mentoring you guys doing to make that happen?
Mm-hmm. I don't believe I can talk about this without talking about Jim Revenak.
Sure,
I just can't. Jeff Levitez. A lot of people know who Jim Revenak is. Probably a lot of people don't know who Jeff Levitez is. They made things very easy on us, where training and being the best is all we really had to worry about. And I think that's just where it started.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I just don't have a lot of worries. You know, just train, win. They wanted to win, we wanted to win.
You didn't have to go work at Home Depot on the side.
I mean, it was just train, win.
Yeah.
That was incredibly important, especially at that time, because wrestling was not funded probably 50% of what it is today. You know, and one, from the standpoint, you don't have social media, you don't have this, if somebody wanted you to come do something and reach out to you, they had to get your home telephone number, or maybe your cell phones are just coming out, something like that.
Yeah.
You couldn't tweet at them, you couldn't
Yeah.
really promote yourself, right? So their friendship was paramount, and it starts there. Because without that, sometimes the coaching and the willpower and things like that, it doesn't necessarily matter, because you just don't have the opportunity.
If you're pulled in too many different
Yeah.
directions.
You just don't have the opportunity. You're thin,
Mhm.
right? Everything's taking a couple % of your mental energy. So I think you start there,
Mhm.
and then you look at. I'm still blown away by this junior college thing. I didn't even think about that. So two junior college, and they're my teammates. How do I not recognize this?
Yeah.
They were both.
Jameel was at Lassen.
Right.
And he actually took second last to
I remember.
Shaw Foster.
I remember.
And then Daniel killed everybody in junior college.
Colby,
Yeah.
Colby.
Yeah.
Huh. Never. In all this time, I've ever thought of it from that perspective. So, I digress. Anyways, we need to get some more junior college Olympics.
Shout out to all the JUCOs.
Yeah. Keep grinding, right? And you might get there.
Mhm.
So, you know, again, you know, you just sometimes the stars just align. You get real fortunate to be around the right people at the right times, the right environment. People were serious about the Olympic movement. It was important. And you start to feed off of one another. You know, nobody has distractions. You know, you show up every day, you practice, you train, you collaborate. You know, all of a sudden, one guy makes a team, then 2 guys make a team, then everybody's going, this Gator thing's working. Gator Club being, you know, Jim and Jeff's
Creation.
You know, the creation. And this is working. This is working. Then there's training camps. Then we came together on training camps, and believe it or not, Jim Ravenek went out and got Terry Brands. Terry was at Chattanooga at the time, and brought Terry in. So Gator
That's
Club.
interesting.
Gator,
That's a story I didn't know.
yeah, Gator Club expanded. Yeah. So you know, it was like, no. You need to put everything else aside and recognize that.
Cowboys and Hawkeyes living together.
He was at Chattanooga. It didn't matter.
Right.
There was no conflict of interest. It was truly just, hey, come in and train.
Yeah.
And we got together several times a year and trained and prepared and just did these things. So the machine was rolling.
Yeah.
The machine was rolling. And like I said, sometimes you just get lucky. You know, we wanted to work hard, and we had an environment that was conducive to what we wanted to do. There was the financial backing behind it. And I mean, in the reality, you know, we talk about RTCs today. It kind of was an RTC without the name.
Yeah.
But
it was definitely a club.
But that's what it was. You know, but that's what it was. And things just went right. Things went right. You know, once you create that kind of synergy, it's amazing what can happen. Yeah.
Well, you know, and I've known you a pretty long time. I remember when you were coaching in 2012, that it was important for you personally that Coleman Scott made the team. And I know you wouldn't talk about this publicly, but I know the amount of time you sunk into him, training with him, actually wrestling certain stances, doing things to mimic the guys he had to beat at the trials and the guys he had to beat at the Olympics. And I know that's A, you're a coach, in your mind that's your job. B, I know Coleman was important to you. But C, that Oklahoma State, until 2016, had put a guy on the Olympic team every single time. So back in 2004, did you guys feel that pressure at all? Like, hey, at least one of us has got to make this team to keep the streak alive? Or is it just, I need to make this team because I've committed my life to it?
Probably the latter.
I would think.
Probably
right?
the latter. Don't think that ever. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. It did cross my mind. To be perfectly candid, that thought did cross my mind. But it was just more of an extra motivation type thing to make sure you crossed your T's and dotted your I's. It was not pressure. It was just kind of like, yeah, this needs to get done. But like I said, the machine was rolling. And, and Jim and Jeff were the kind of guys that they just wanted you to succeed. Not asking for anything, not hounding you on the phone, not asking if you're training. They just knew you were training, and they were there to support you every step of the way. And I look back on that, good people.
Yeah, I don't know Jeff, but Rav is one of the really great guys, and I'm sure Jeff is as well personally because I know him. Rav's a great guy, and great to my family and everybody else. Yeah. Well, what's interesting is as much as you've attained, you're a humble guy when I talk to you about your career. I know the Olympics is the one that got away. I know that, no matter what, it's all of our goals. And from the minute you wake up and want to wrestle, I want to be an Olympic champion. Whether you're Little League getting pinned half the time or you were where you were, or even like guys this year that, took second at the World Championships for us, James Green, Thomas Gilman, those guys' goals to win the Olympics, those kind of things. So I think it's a unique, you're a unique person. You actually have the answer to this question because most of us never get there. Normally these interviews are very happy, but what was it like to fail there? How did you deal with that?
No, it feels like failure. It feels like failure. You're devastated. You're right. No, you're right. You're right. You're right on a couple different levels. I think you're right that a lot of interviews are about happiness.
Yeah.
Hey, you did this, but if we really take a good close look and just be perfectly candid, be perfectly transparent here. If you take a good, really close look at about 99% of all of our careers, they don't end.
Very few people win
their last match. That's a good way to put it. That's a great way to put it. And I've heard you say that before. Not in regards to this, just in conversation.
Life.
Yeah. So we do oftentimes end on a disappointing note. And that doesn't mean you lose your last match. You can end up third, but you wanted gold. You can end up bronze, but you wanted.
Yeah.
We don't know what it means.
You take second.
You take second. So it just means that oftentimes we're all left with some level of disappointment because at heart we're all competitors.
Yeah.
And you don't often know when to say, I'm good. You know what I mean? No, you want the next thing.
We all stick around a little too long.
We want the next thing. Whatever that may be. So, yeah, you kind of transport me back 13 years. It's disappointing. It's a long flight home. I'll say that. It's a long flight home. There's questions. And wonder what you could have done differently. And, can you even remedy this? I was fortunate, I had an opportunity to throw myself into coaching. Won a bunch of national championships in a row as a team, and you think that's going to replace that disappointment. What you find out is it doesn't.
It's a separate bucket.
you got this great way of putting things into terms people can understand, and I've never even heard anybody say that, but you're right, it's a separate bucket. This bucket's full, but this bucket's still empty.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much you fill this one up, that one still sucks.
That's a great way to put it. And if I can just fast forward, a decade. I think it took a decade to go, they were better. The guy that won was just better than you. The guy that got silver, better than you. Third, better than you. Sometimes you're not the best. Could you beat them on any given day? Maybe.
Sure.
And had. But that day in Athens, better than you. For these reasons. Blah, 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 blah. X, Y, and Z. And it takes you time. But once you get to that point, you actually find a sense of contentment and peace.
Peace is, I think, important.
Peace,
Yeah.
And it's not something the world sees. I don't think the world sees people's disappointment, especially when, you can move forward in a different aspect of life and you feel like, there's other things you want to achieve and you're achieving them. Ultimately, you got to deal with it. Ultimately, you got to come to terms with it and come to peace with it. And that's everything. And that's not the Olympics. That could be, a friendship. Like, God, it was my best friend, and I let this relationship fall apart.
Right.
Can you remedy it? Can you remedy it? I don't know. It could be for some people a lost love of their life.
Yeah.
It could be a child, not in the loss of a child, but I could have done better. I could have done better.
Yeah. For me, and it's, probably 1,000 times smaller scale, but my last college match was, I lost in the finals, and then I had to make a decision if I was going to go train in Greco, or I had a really good job. I went and did this job, I started coaching with my dad, and I was a terrible coach, because all I did was I took that anger out for a year on guys. Beat the tar out of guys. And then I helped a guy win nationals, and I killed them every day. It was hard for me not to be a little bit jealous, because he did what I wanted to do. And, my mom, that saying about the bucket, my mom, she said that, she goes, you need to leave that bucket alone. She goes, it doesn't matter how much money you make, it doesn't matter how much you need to deal with that.
Right.
Because it's affecting you as a person. Right. And you're a better person than how you're acting right now. Right. And, my mom, and she's about as come to Jesus as it gets. Right. When she's like E.F. Hutton, when she talks to you about that. I remember I sat down and I just cried for like a day, that night. And then the next day, I said, I'm going to put it away. I get a little emotional thinking about it. But once you find peace, then I think, like, I know I was a better coach after that conversation.
Sure, everybody is. You're better at everything.
Yeah.
Better everything.
Yeah.
Son, brother.
Let's go back to a happy subject.
I think it's such important for people to know, because people identify with that. They a lot more disappointment than there are triumphs.
Yeah.
In the world.
It's all the struggles along the way that people, it's the struggles and the friendships I think really people remember. So, U.S. world team, and obviously that only preclude the cadets and juniors, but seniors win the world title. Basically Rocky at the end, Russia, America for the title.
This year?
Yeah. First time since '95.
Correct.
And I've been lucky enough to have Rich Bender on the show twice, Cody Bickley, those guys, Bill Zadek, and they're talking about, hey, we're going pedal to the metal in these RTCs. So with you being in charge of an RTC now, how do you see your role in that, and what's the, how do you see that as the future for USA Wrestling?
I don't think that we can deny that every aspect of wrestling, every facet of wrestling is better with the push of the Olympic movement. With these RTCs have come better college product.
Yeah.
With these RTCs have come a better junior product.
That's undeniable.
Undeniable. I mean, we're talking fact now.
And your guy Cody Bickley's all over that. Yeah.
Oh, Cody's the man.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
I don't think it's any secret that he's a huge part in driving this. sharp guy, very intelligent, you know, prudent.
Works his fanny off too.
Yeah,
Man.
just prudent, you know, crosses T's, dots I's, and that's part of what makes this work. I don't think it could work if we weren't organized on a national level, even a little bit of a global level.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work. We're organized for the first time, not for the first time, but we're more organized now than ever.
Yeah.
Let's say that. It's undeniable that the cadets have had great success and benefit from RTCs, from increased opportunities to work with Olympic coaches in the Olympic Training Center.
And better older guys.
And work with better older guys. You know, it's one of the secrets, so we can get to that. There's a cadet Pan American Games now.
Yeah.
You know, this last go around, we had 3 Oklahomans medal, 2 golds and a silver.
Yeah.
One of my friend's sons got silver. I mean, and he's been an RTC participant. So these, I just don't think that we can deny that every product from, and we say schoolboy because that's when you can first start continental championships, you know, international competitions from, you know, they're 13, some are 12, turning 13. So from about that age all the way up, you know, cadets, juniors, high school, college, U23s.
Yeah, U23s are going on right now.
Yeah, we're going on right now as we're speaking, right? The senior level, you know, world championship team, cadets, an eyelash from winning 4 champs and they don't win. It's like, how did that happen?
I had to call Lee Pritz and ask how they screwed that up.
I know, right? I mean, you know, but they lost by a point or two.
Yeah,
a point.
yeah.
So, you know, I mean, cadets. My understanding there's going to be, or schoolboys. My understanding there's going to be schoolboy world championships sometime in the near future.
Awesome.
So exactly. Yeah. So why is this the future? I think the results tell you why this is the future. You know, the college product's better. Why? It's more competitive. Higher level skill. You know, you got people, RTCs training with other RTCs and going back and forth in collaboration. So in a weird way, we're competing against each other.
But you're helping each
But at
other.
the same time, we're collaborating with each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's very common now to see an RTC coach or another RTC coach going, I'm sending guys to you for a week. You're sending guys back to me for a week. We're truly collaborating. I know at ours, we got things lined up for international teams to come in.
Right.
And nobody can say, well, that's not a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing. Winning's always a good thing.
Yeah.
And we're winning right now. I listened to Rich's interview. What now? What next? And I'm paraphrasing his comment, but it was something to that effect.
Yeah.
What are we going to do now that we have this winning formula? Well, there's only one thing to do. It's, as Rich put it,
Pedal to the metal.
pedal to the metal.
Well, you know, it's interesting because, like, I saw John Morrison, you know, and I know he came in to, you know, train with you guys, and, you know, he's up at the Cliff Keen RTC. You know, Alex Deringer was in St. Louis doing a seminar with, you know, one of my friends, Marcus Hain, and, you know, he's going to these different RTCs and traveling, so it's interesting. And the guys, I think, they just look at it as like, it's cool, I get to go train with these other guys. You know, like he was training with, you know, Isaiah Martinez and people like that. And, you know, to quote your friend Chance Leonard, this radical collaboration, you know, these guys being able to do these things, like where, I think that another big part of these RTCs that it worked, right? So once it worked, if you don't buy into it, you're like, really? Like, it's not like it just worked at the seniors. It's not like it just worked at the juniors. It's not like it just worked at the cadets. Like, we're probably 2 matches from a clean sweep.
Of the world.
Of the world. Yeah, so, you know, people that don't buy in at that point are probably just going to get left behind. So.
Yeah. And the product's better. I don't think anybody can deny the collegiate product right now is as good as it's ever been.
Yeah.
You got to, not to bring up negative, but when you got a 2-time NCAA champion getting pinned by a freshman in the finals.
Insane, right? Yeah.
You know, why? Well, pretty strong RTC up there.
Yeah.
You know.
They're pretty good at wrestling.
You know,
up there.
yeah, right. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we're probably looking at the bookends of that, you know, or I don't think it was an anomaly. I think there was a reason why he had a chance to win that match.
Yeah.
A large part of it is competitive room, due in part largely to their very successful RTC. Give credit where credit's due.
For sure.
They've done a great job up there.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
Penn State's who talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, One of the things when, you know, I talked to a lot of coaches and, you know, we talked about thinking about the struggles and, you know, and the friendships, you know, like those kind of things. One of the things I've always, in my mind, there's certain guys I've coached that were my favorites. And when I thought about that, some of the guys that are my favorites are guys that weren't the best wrestlers. But they were the guys that I thought got really more out of their talent than I ever thought they would do. Like, you know, you've recruited a lot of guys for a lot of years, and you go, this guy could be a champion, and this guy, like, this guy's probably going to be depth in the room. You know, we're certainly not going to name anybody, but you know, you don't expect this guy to be that great. He doesn't come in with an unbelievable resume. And you know, we could talk about just this subject for 3 hours, so I don't want to, you know, I know you're going to maybe leave a person or two out, you know, so we'll say that up front. But maybe what's like one or two guys that really stick out in your head that were like, man, I look back on this guy 5 years later, and if you had told me 5 years ago he was going to do that, I wouldn't have bet out loud, but in my mind, like, wow, I don't think that guy is going to be able to accomplish that.
You're right, you're going to leave people out. So, I'm going to leave people out. So I'll say this. I'll say, my most recent one, I'll give you a couple. I'll give you three. They stick out my mind for different reasons.
Sure.
You know, level of success, one's passed away, and one's most recent. Just coming to mind here. Most recent would be Nolan Boyd.
Yeah. Doesn't look like the most athletic dude. Just, you know.
Yeah, you know, I'll just say this. I'll say this about Nolan. You know, remember we had a chance to go out and train with the Olympic team in Los Angeles several years ago. He's a true freshman. And, you know, just a tall, redheaded kid from Edmond, Oklahoma. And,
Lanky
you know,
dude,
just,
yeah.
you know, and he really wanted to go. He said that, hey, you know, everything's already kind of scheduled and tight. And, you know, we've got all these arrangements. You weren't really in the plan, you know, so I mean, if you were to get out there, you know, USA Wrestling, we can do some things, but you know, there's not a plane ticket for you. There's not a seat on the plane for you, because we took a plane, and he said, I'll get out there. Oh, bought his own ticket.
Yeah, that's impressive.
You know,
right?
and I know his family. I know his dad. His dad just didn't throw a credit card down. Trust me.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy who would tell him, go sell something. If you really want to go
work for it.
you figure it out. I just know his family.
Yeah.
You know, so I know he probably had to go mow a couple lawns in 3 days or sell something. I just know his family. There's no way his dad was like, oh, sure,
Yeah.
put it on my card. No. So guess what? We got to the airport. He was there waiting.
That's awesome.
That's the kind of kid he is.
Yeah.
That's the kind of person he is. I say kid, he's a grown man, married with a child on the way now, but that was his career. I will find a way. That was his career. I will find a way. And it doesn't mean there weren't frustrating days. It doesn't mean there was days where, you know, just sit there going, oh my gosh, no, I'm over this, you know. But it was always done with a smile. It was always done for the love of wrestling. I mean, it was always done for the right reasons, going back to Coach Chesbro. Just, he did everything right. You know, and in the end, two-time All-American, beat a lot of people that probably people never would think that he would beat.
Yeah.
And we enjoyed it. We enjoyed every step of the way. So I look at Nolan as absolutely, definitely one of those. Next one would be Skylar Holmgren. You know, God rest his soul. A lot of hindrances, some physical, you know, some emotional. Got a lot out of himself. Got a lot out of himself. And again, he built a relationship and didn't end the way he wanted, you know. Man, we enjoyed every step of the process was enjoyable. You know, and probably the one that had the most success has been Johnny Thompson. Johnny Thompson, people, you know, might not recall, you know, 4-time All-American, 3-time finalist, 2-time national champion. I mean, just a kid out of Putnam City, Oklahoma, just doing his thing.
Yeah.
You know, moppy hair flopping everywhere.
Yeah.
Had a double leg and a snake, and he could ride.
Yeah.
You know.
He's a winner.
Just you know, it was a little earlier in my career, and, you know, just a lot of time wrestling with Johnny. You know, just day to day wrestling. All of a sudden, you know, I'm questioning things. How am I going to win a world championship or make the team this year? I'm trying to hold off this freshman.
Yeah.
You know, and you're going, something special's happening. Something special's happening. And again, he just wanted more, and he wanted more. And then, you know, all right, let's meet again. Let's go again. Meet me on Sunday. We'll get another workout in, and you develop again a relationship, and it keeps coming and coming and coming. And next thing you know, he's in the national finals.
Yeah.
As a freshman.
Yeah.
You know, he had to come back in the state finals to win a year earlier.
Yeah, those stories are crazy.
The year before that, he got beat in the state finals by Skylar Holman himself.
Wow.
You know, so you know you're going, hey, here you are, and he was an eyelash and a bad call. I gotta say, it was a bad call.
Yeah.
For winning as a freshman, wins 2 more, and if you take that leg cradle from Scott Moore or whatever Moore was, I can't remember. Maybe he'd been a 3-timer. You know, 2-1-1-1.
Yeah.
So I mean, came with an eyelash of being historic. And again, all those guys, you know, like I said, you know, his move was clap in your face, shoot a double.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Alan Boyd, I mean, just
Hooks in,
get out of the way.
tough.
Here he comes. So I mean,
Yeah.
those guys got a lot out of themselves, and a lot of fond memories of them.
Yeah, yeah. I want to switch gears a little bit, and you know, this will be a little different, but I know 2 years ago, you and your wife lost your son Adam, and you know, I can only imagine the pain that you guys went through, but I just can't believe that one way or another that this just didn't change you, you know, as a man, as a father, as a husband. So, you know, how'd you deal with it, and how do you look at life differently after something like that happened?
I think you got. Yeah, it is switching gears, but you know what? It's that's life. Bad things happen, and you recognize that. You know, so it's not, you know, wine and roses.
Yeah.
That's life. These things happen. And if that's the worst thing, I mean, God forbid something worse happen than that, but it could.
Yeah.
But it could. Life can throw a lot of terrible things at you. But if that's the worst thing that happens in our lives, you know, never going to hear me say that we're not lucky. You know, we've been very fortunate, very blessed, and sometimes life just gives you a kick. You know, and that was a kick. That was a kick to the gut. You know, for our family, for my wife, for our children. Just not easy stuff.
Yeah.
From a practical standpoint, I will say this because I do appreciate this, and it's the first time I've ever really talked about it publicly. Our first call was actually to Tom Ryan.
Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. So you don't even say, yeah, I've never talked to anybody about this.
Why? Why Tom?
Tom lost his son Teague. Teague was a little old. Teague was older. Teague, I believe Teague. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I want to say he was around 5 or 6, maybe.
Okay.
And it's well documented. And Tom and his wife lost their son Teague. And if I'm mispronouncing his name or I'm getting it wrong, I apologize forefront, but I'm pretty sure I'm accurate. It's actually my first text was to Lou Roselli. I just couldn't find Tom's number on my cell phone for some reason. You know, I don't know if I had another Coach Ryan or Tom Ryan or Ryan, Ohio State. Sometimes you just put things in weird, and I couldn't find it, and in the moment just couldn't find it. And
your mind may not have been completely clear at that time.
Not completely clear, right? You got a lot of things going on, trying to manage your. You know, I had to come home and tell my children and sit them down and said, hey, something. They were here with my wife's mother, and said, hey, something negative's happened. Adam's passed away. And, my wife was still at the hospital, so we're kind of trying to manage everything.
What did Coach Ryan say to you?
Well, after I got it from Lou, I talked to Tom, and having been through something like that himself, he just had a lot of things. But I think his most, and this is before I told anyone. I'm not sure I even spoke to my father. You know, I'm out there. This is my first call.
Yeah.
You know, Tom, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
The way I handle this situation in the next 48 hours is going to determine the path we march down. You know, it's going to determine some things.
It's going to impact your marriage.
It's going to impact everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to create a new normal here in the next period of time to come, and he just gave me some very practical advice, and he just gave me some pitfalls to watch out for. So he told me what the most important things to do in the next couple days were, and then he gave me the most important things, you know, in the next week. You know, make sure you do X, Y, and Z, and then the next year, in the next 12 months,
He gave you a roadmap.
you know, make sure you're focusing on this and not focusing on this.
Goes back to those buckets, huh?
It goes back to those.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, for lack of a better term, he gave me a roadmap. We communicated. He stayed in touch, and you know, I can say without a doubt, our family got through that with smiles on our faces. Not that there's not days we don't miss them. Not that there's not reminders constantly, but we smile every day. Got a lot of joy in our home.
Yeah.
My wife's a joy, you know. But ultimately, it comes from leadership. You know, you got to lead them in that direction as a father, as a husband. And I couldn't have done it maybe without some leadership from Tom. So,
It's I don't want to say it's cool, but it's interesting that, you know, in times of moments like that, schools, allegiances, rivalries, none of that all goes out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Good people help other good people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, well, when I came here today, your wife answered the door, and I know you guys are expecting. So
We are.
Yeah. So, you know, your wife's awesome. I love Kristen, and she seems, you know, looks great, feels happy. So, what is that like going through now after what we just talked about?
It's good. You know, it's always good to be expecting a child. I mean, they're a blessing, right? They're a true blessing. So, you know, she's happy. I'm happy. Kids are happy. Everybody's excited. You know, got another son on the way. So, we're just anxiously anticipating his arrival.
Yeah. Am I going to break news? You got a name picked out for him yet?
I'm gonna let my wife break that. I'm not sure she's done that yet. I don't know. I know she's got some social media. I don't know what she has or hasn't done on it, so I'm not sure. I better save that one.
All right, yeah. So, you know, you hear a lot of coaches, and I literally grew up with this, where we're a family. You know, I coach next to my father. You know, and I think some environments feel a lot more like family than others. So I know family's important to you. How do you think, you know, coaching in college as long as you did, and now in the RTC role, what are the benefits of coaching, you know, like a family, and, you know, what are the things you got to look out for? You getting too close to guys, things like that.
That happens. Sometimes you get too close. You know, is that a thing? Can you get too close? Maybe. Let me preface it with this. Family is so vital. When I say family, I mean your family, the Mirikitanis. I know how close your family is. You know, our family, my extended family. You know, because it's the very foundation that you learn so much. It's the foundation where you create some morals, some ethics. You know, who you are. The sense of who you are is very dialed in and drawn upon your experiences as a child. You know, hey, we don't do that here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm sure you've heard that. I'm sure I've heard, we don't do that. You know, we don't treat people that way, or we don't waste food, or we don't. I mean, I'm sure we've all probably heard all that. You know, we don't waste money. We don't do that. You know,
we say please and thank you.
We say please and thank you. I mean, we could go on for all the times we've been told things like that. So it's the very foundation of who we are. We often look back to family. And in the end, family is real. You know, this all corrupts, fades. You know, there's attrition. It wears away. No, family's eternal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless you decide to end it and not communicate. And I'm not even sure that can break the bond. It can't. it doesn't. Right?
Yeah.
You're still family. You can't change it.
Even when you're angry.
Even when, yeah, we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
You know, oh, I can't believe my brother or my sister. You know, so you know, it never ends. So it's a good thing, you know. And I'm lucky that I had such a great family experience as a child. You know, a mother, a father who stressed the importance and did the right things growing up. I don't think they knew they were doing the right things. I just look back at 40 years old going, man, they had some real healthy child rearing.
Yeah.
You know, they had a very healthy outlook. You know, so family. I'll just preface it with it is so crucial. But you saying that to me makes me think: can you get too close? I don't know. I don't know. But you're right. You see that a lot. But I guess just to answer the question, for my kids and their passion, sports, you know, other activities, I'm their father. You know, they got a family. I want somebody to put their arm around them and mentor them as a coach, as an instructor. That's different than family. My love for wife, children, family is not based on anyone's performance or what kind of day they're having.
Yeah.
It's completely independent. God forbid one of our children someday would be in jail or behind bars, but even when you sit there and if you were looking at them, you would say, I love you. I love you.
I'm angry.
I'm angry. I'm disappointed in you, you know, but I love you. It just your love doesn't go like this,
right,
because you sang great today, or you won this, or you did this, or you made a game-winning soccer goal,
yeah,
or it doesn't go down because you stole something from the candy store. You know, it doesn't change.
Yeah.
You know. So fathers, mothers got a different role than coaches.
Yeah.
It's a very different role. So I guess me personally, I don't see them as interchangeable. I don't see them as you know, no, I'm your coach. I love you as a coach loves an athlete.
Yeah.
I care about you as a human being because, as we've talked about, I understand your character is ultimately what's the most important thing here. This all goes away.
Single eggs, double eggs.
It all goes away. You're just left with who you are as a character. So I have a responsibility as a coach to develop that character in you, one, so you can be an effective athlete, but more importantly than that, so that you leave this experience as a better human being. But that still comes back to me being a coach.
Right.
I wouldn't want somebody coaching my children from a father standpoint.
Yeah.
I want you to be their coach.
What's interesting, I was with Hardell Moore yesterday.
Yeah.
And we're at OWA.
Yeah.
And his kids are running around.
Yeah.
And Maddox, I think is his son. I was
Right.
actually
Yeah,
talking to Maddox last night at the wedding.
Cute kid.
Yeah. And he was saying how Maddox is in soccer, and when he goes to watch Maddox play, he doesn't say anything. You know, he's like, I just want to be a dad. And I just want to talk to Maddox afterwards about, did you have fun? Did you try hard? You know, can you do better? So I think the best coaches do separate that. You know, to me, as far as getting too close, I know the one thing, when you love someone, you have a blind spot for them. You know, at least in my, you know, it's like, you know, like I know so much of this person is good, so I can kind of, you know, overlook this, which is what you should do when you love someone. But as a coach, not as a character, but as a wrestler, I'm like, well, you know, Eric does these 9 things well, these 2, but Eric's such an awesome guy, man, I love that guy. As a coach, I got to make sure these 2 things, if I turn a blind eye to that, I'm not being a great coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, you know, I've seen, you know, for me, I got close to a lot of my guys, and sometimes I just pull myself back and go, just watch the tape, take the names off of them, and figure out what I got to do to make them better.
And it's hard. I think parents want to hear that. I think it's a good selling point. You know, who wouldn't want somebody to care for your child the same way you do?
Yeah.
But that's why you're not the coach,
right?
You know, because you're right. You see, you have blind spots in there, and to be an effective coach, you know, it is about caring, relationship. You know, commitment from your standpoint, your commitment to them
Yeah.
to see them through.
For
you
sure.
know, any hard times, but in the end, it is about winning and losing.
You need to see them for who they are.
And you got to see them for who they are.
Yeah.
And you're right, we do have blind spots. For ultimately, that's how we can stand to live with somebody for the rest of our lives,
Yeah.
right? Because you ignore their faults,
And they ignore ours.
and they ignore ours.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, as much as I love my wife and she loves me, you know I'm so far from perfect. You
Yeah.
know, she just chooses to look past them because she loves me. You know what I mean? But really, what I need is her to point out more things. No, I'm just kidding.
I think you want her to do that. I don't think you want
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
You know, so I get the whole family thing, but ultimately we need coaches to coach. You know, at least that's what I would want for my child. Just care about him, but ultimately you got to point out and be hard on him because to me he's my son. I just love him regardless. Or my
Yeah.
daughter, I just love her regardless.
Sure.
You know, just love him regardless.
Right.
You coach him, get on him.
Yeah.
That's what's best for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground, but I think the most important question that everybody wants to know is what happened to the hair, man? I mean, I'm partial. You know, if you took it down a little more, you know,
Right.
I might be able to claim you stole my look. But you know, we've gone on a lot of road trips together, and I saw the whole hair process before. I'm guessing it's a lot different now. So, why the change?
I've done it periodically. I mean, just you go back and look at photos, wrestling, this, that, the other. You know, you're going to just see periods where I just shaved it off.
Yeah.
No significance, just something I did every 5-6 years. I just shave it off. You know?
I believe you.
Mhm.
I personally think maybe subconsciously it's a new start.
Could be.
I think, you know,
Could
it's
be.
like, you know, because you're going from the orange and black to the, you know, the maroon and, you know, those kind of things. And like, you know, and obviously it's just an opinion and
Right.
couldn't prove it either way. But, you know, when I saw it, I'm like, my man just hit Control Alt Delete and is going to start this and start
That's funny.
doing.
Yeah. No, I've done it periodically. You know, I didn't feel that way about it, but you could be onto something. I'd never say never. You know, ultimately, I can just think of times where I would just shaved it off. Freshman year at Oklahoma State, shaved it off. I think after the 2001, somewhere in there, that time period, I remember like maybe when 9/11 happened, we kind of went through a delayed process for the World Championships. Somewhere in that time, I remember going, I'm just like shaving my head, shave it off. And I've done it. Went on a pilgrimage to Mexico, to the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and shaved it off for that. There's just times where I can think of it, but I don't know. You're an insightful guy. Maybe you're right.
It's been a long time though since all
Yeah,
this.
maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, man, it's been a pleasure to be here. It's always a little weird for me to interview you, you know, because we talk and we're friends. But for you to allow me to talk to you about some of these things that most people don't, and you know, I'm sure we're emotional for you. I really appreciate it. I would wish you luck, but I know you're going to make it happen. So I'm happy for you in your new journey. I know when we speak, I sense real enthusiasm and excitement for this new undertaking. I know you're going to do great things.
Well, I
man.
appreciate it. No, I appreciate your insightful questions. Thank you.
Thanks so much, man.